Hello again, everyone. I actually thoroughly enjoy doing this. So much so, I decided to do another episode right after one I just did. I think this is great fun. So, I just have so much to talk about. I can't quite recall where I had left off the last episode, but we can certainly pick up somewhere else. I'm actually going to open up my Tumblr. I have some great examples on there that I want to talk about. My Tumblr, excuse me, isn't very old. But I have some good stuff on there. That I posted and that I shared with others. Ugh. I was about to sneeze. Excuse me. So here's a quote. Love doesn't cause fights. That's a very cute quote, I think. And I think it's, that's my kind of love, If you're in a relationship and you're fighting, can you really state that as a part of love? To me, no. I don't think so. Would that ruin a relationship? Of course not. Relationships are more than just love, though. Relationships are you're sharing your life with another person. But when you're fighting, is that the love speaking? I don't think so. A little about myself. I am a hopeless romantic type. Not so much that I generally get into the True Blood series or the notorious Twilight series, or not trying to be a hipster or anything, but I guess I kind of am. Sorry, I'm doing like a little dance. But I've just had experiences with that whole hopeless romantic thing, which maybe yes, these could be stories. They kind of are stories, but they're stories I haven't read or seen anywhere else. They're stories that I've kind of formulated in my head. I should probably write some of these down. They're pretty good ideas. I don't know, but I'm not really an author type person. Anyways, so as I finish that whole little tangent up, I'm looking at my Tumblr right now, and I'm bringing up this picture that I remember posting. And it was actually, half of it is a picture that I took, and there's another picture in it that's used as a comparison for my point that I just got off of Google. But the picture that I got off of Google is a old segregation, separate but equal time period sign that talks about restrooms, the white and colored wet restrooms. How we had the separate restrooms for whites and colors. Now, of course, we would all, I'm sure many people will disagree with that in terms of equality. I can't speak for everybody, of course. I'm sure there's some people that, like that system. But it causes problems. as I see it, it causes problems because we're treating each other separately when we're all human beings. It doesn't matter what color you are or whatever, what race you are, what color to base somebody differently off of something that is like purely irrelevant to anything like color is just ridiculous. Ugh. I mean, there's logical differences, logical applications. I can understand, you want somebody that's best for a specific job because they have the certain attributes to do that job the best out of, whatever candidates you have. That's logical. Splitting up bathrooms because one person has one set of genes and one person has another, so they have to go to different bathrooms, is rather illogical. I mean, maybe I just don't know what you were trying to prevent. What were you trying to prevent? I don't know. But has the whole desegregation caused problems? Yeah. But society, and by society I mean all of us, because we are society. Every single one of us, whether we hate to admit it or not, we're all a part of society. No matter how detached from it you are, you still contribute to society indirectly or directly, no matter what you do, because you are human. Or you are not. You could be an animal and you could still be part of society, because honestly, as I see it, society is not just limited to human beings. It is limited to anything that lives. And, pets, like dogs and cats, they have had dramatic impacts on our society, whether we recognize it or not. But to blame society for something, you have to remember that you're blaming yourself, you're blaming everybody. Because everything, even the rocks, even the sun, even the universe itself, is to blame for anything. Because everything has an indirect and direct, role to play in anything that happens. Whether it's the blame kind of role to take or the credit kind of role to take, everything still has some kind of percentile, you could say. And what do I mean by indirect or direct? Well, indirectly, one could affect the situation without even knowing it. So let's say you do something great for your community, you save somebody's life, and it's on the news. Say, because you saved that person's life in your community, and because it got on the news, this one person who was about to commit suicide because he had no faith in humanity whatsoever saw your story on the news, and he decided not to commit suicide because of your story, because his faith in humanity was restored because you saved someone's life. Had you have not saved that person's life in your community, had it not made it on the news, that person might have ended his life. Thus, that factor, that the idea that everything leads up to now, is a very prevalent statement, because quite in fact, everything that happens in the past leads up to the present and the future, and the future comes down to the present, and our present comes down to the past somewhere. Everything comes down to something. Everything that happens goes up to something. So everything really is to blame for everything. It's a really broad thing to say, but I've reached the point in understanding where blaming a single person for anything really is very short-sighted, ultimately. So, for example, a pedophile is accused of molesting a child. Now, yes, you can say directly the pedophile has taken the actions to do this molesting upon this child or this teenager even. But it really isn't. Has nothing to do. Okay, it partially does, but there's not just him as a factor. You know, let's just put it like this. If you were born as this person, you were born as this pedophile. Do you honestly think you would turn out any differently had you gone through all the experiences that he went to leading up to him doing that thing that he did? Whatever. You know what? That's even make it more universally applicable. Murder or a murder. Someone gets in the mindset to murder somebody or to rob a bank. Somebody gets in these mindsets because of everything that they are and everything that has occurred to them are all factors that lead up to this. So do you honestly think, if you were born as that person, if your perspective, if your conscience was actually their conscience, if you were in their body, living in their shoes, do you honestly think at all that you would turn out any differently going through everything the same exact way that they went through it? Do you honestly think you would turn out any differently? I would say not. I would say you would not turn out differently. Sorry for the confusion there. But anyways, yes, these things are still bad things. And we should still not allow these things to happen. So, why do they still keep happening? Because punishing somebody? This is why I think the idea of hell is completely preposterous, which I see many people have come to the conclusion to as well with the whole thing. If you're familiar with the movie All Dogs Go to Heaven, that concept actually seems to be spreading throughout some members of society. Still, some members believe in the idea of hell, which is preposterous to me. Do you honestly believe anything should suffer in eternity? Like, are you even thinking about what is coming out of your mouth right now if you say that, if you honestly believe that? You are condemning something to suffer forever. Do you honestly, have you taken a moment to think about how ethically wrong that is? Because, I mean, do you honestly not think that you could have been them? That you could have just turned out to be them? That person that is having to go to hell because you think they should? No. Punishment is not the answer and will not solve anything. And by allowing punishment to be an answer for anything, you are eventually setting up maybe your own kids or someone else's kids to be punished one day. And you know what? We're all kids once. So it's a very antiquated mentality to go and say punishment will solve anything or will solve something. No, it will only really, to me, honestly, I have to say, it will only delay or make a situation even worse. Probably because if you. So, for example, we have somebody that, he does something illegal. Let's say his illegal incident is cow tipping. He likes to tip cows because it's just like, let's just say he's wired for that. That is what he does. That's what he lives for, to push over those cows and to get that euphoric joy out of seeing them fall over, and it just looks so funny, and it's just, he loves it so much. That's just what his brain is obsessed with, just watching cows tip over and them mooing in distress as they don't understand why they're being tipped over, which is a fairly destructive thing to do. I don't think if I was a cow I would want to be tipped over. So that I would consider that a problem. These are the kinds of things that I consider problems, when other people are affecting other people's lives unconsensually and without understanding. But anyways, so this person's just addicted to cow tipping, and the cop comes up to this kid. He finds him somehow. They have the super cop tower. They see all the rural fields and all the cows, and they watch out for cow tippers, and they bust him, and they send him to jail for pushing that cow over, and he gets 1,000,000 days in jail. This is a ridiculous, absurd example, but hey, who knows how society could have been shaped. So he goes to jail, and he's fined, and he is scolded for his cow tipiature. So let's try to put ourselves in this man's shoes. We love to tip cows because we get a rush from it. It's our excitement. It's what we live for. But we are being punished. We are now in jail. We can't tip cows because these people don't want us to. And so now we can look at it two ways. One, we can say we understand that we are somewhat destructive in our cow tipping pastime, so maybe we will try to seek help. Maybe we'll be more controlled or more reasonable to come to a conclusion as to how to resolve this, because you can't honestly actually stop your cow tipping behaviors without some kind of intervention or help. You're addicted to it. So that's one way to look at it. Then there's another way. This guy who likes to tip cows just doesn't understand. He's like, why are they locking me up for tipping cows? What damage is it doing? I just like to tip cows. Why won't they let me just tip cows? He doesn't understand at all. What's this going to do to this guy? He just doesn't get it. He might not seek help or understanding. He might talk to others about it. Don't know what kind of responses he's going to get. Could vary. But he doesn't understand. And we don't know that he doesn't understand. This is why we need to talk to him. We need to reach out to these people and get to know them, to understand them. to delve into the sciences of our own brains, of our own makeup, to understand ourselves, to understand why we do things, to understand our feelings and emotions and our thoughts and everything about us, to understand our neurology. That way we can more directly address these situations that arise. Because we are what we are made out of. Everything that we are comes from something, clearly, maybe not clearly. I can't speak for anybody else other than myself, and neither can anyone else, and I see that in society way too often, that people think that they can even speak for anybody else other than themselves. They don't understand other people. It is almost like people don't seem to grasp the concept that people feel differently, think differently, see things differently, that their conscience, their perspective is just like everybody else's, that it's just as controllable, or the emotions, the feelings that you feel are just the same. No, they are not the same. It might seem obvious that I'm saying this, but I just don't know anymore, because there is such a mentality that is bolstered in our society, a know-it-all mentality. We don't know it all, people. And you might think I'm being obvious by saying this. But still people seem to claim that they know what happens after death. How would you know that? You haven't actually observed this for yourself. And anybody can tell you anything. And we all know that people lie a lot in society. Unfortunately, don't get me wrong. I think lying is an archaic practice. Antiquated, archaic practice. It's just advantageous now and fundamentally crippling our society. Because you know what? Another thing is, I think karma is actually rather logical. Because by continuing or starting or doing bad practices, you are then increasing your chances of bad things happening to you. Because by doing these bad practices, might be indirectly or directly encouraging other people to do them. You might be loosening up the rules for other people to do it. Or your damages might come around another way and bite you. Like, for example, there was a show, Bob's Burgers, I was watching, and there was this owner. He owned a baseball field, and he owned a roller coaster right next to the baseball field, and he was taking pieces of wood, planks of wood, bolts and nuts and bolts from the roller coaster and the wood, and he was building more bleachers onto his baseball stadium so he could fit more people into his baseball stadium so he could make more money. But as he was doing this, the roller coaster was getting less and less structurally secure. And he kept this practice up so much that eventually the roller coaster collapsed. Lives were lost. He lost a lot of money. All because of these bad practices. He could have just ordered more bleachers. That's just the fundamental example I'm trying to put out there is that if we want a good society, we have to act like a good society. And I don't mean just act, we have to understand what a good society is. Because it's not impossible. People act like perfect things are impossible, but that's just something they got out of a book written 3,500 years ago. Quote Macklemore. Same Love. It's a great song. I don't even know why gay marriage is an issue. People use the argument that, oh, they're gay because they choose to be. So that makes it right for us to make it illegal. What? So if you choose to be gay, that's a crime? What does it matter if you choose to be gay? Whether you choose to be gay or not, whether you are gay or not, if you're in a gay relationship, honestly, what does it affect? It's your life. People should stop trying to control your life. Be who you want to be, and anyone else that's stopping you, whether they love you or not, is hurting you. Because that's not real love if people are trying to stop you from doing what you want to do. That's not real love. That's them trying to apply their vision for you onto your life. They're not loving you for who you are. They're loving you for who they think you are, who they want you to be. That's not love. Maybe to them that's love. That's the love for the idea that they have of you. Maybe. It's pretty selfish though. That's another reason why we should stop our egoist practices. Because honestly, we should do things for our kids, for our future generations. We should stop thinking about ourselves altogether, no matter what. Because it's for our kids. It's for the future generations. So one day, our kids can live in that perfect society, that utopia, that we have not been given, because we were kids once too. Honestly, why would you have a kid just for them to look you in the eyes and them to ask you, why am I here? And you don't even honestly have an answer, a sure answer. Why are you having a kid? You should be able to give them a sure answer. That your dreams are here. That you can live freely. Be what you want to be. No one will prosecute you. You're okay. You're safe to live here. But we can't even give our kids that. one day